It's Morning Call, 3rd of February 2026. God bless the US and their investors. Yesterday we were down about 1.5% in the Nasdaq, maybe even slightly more, and panic stations in precious metals. And good old US investors just completely shook it off, and just bought the dip. So, for those of you who were probably a little bit nervous overnight, particularly the way that the Aussie market finished yesterday afternoon and how things were looking in Europe. Maybe, I don't know whether you can send a thank you card to the bullish US investors, but, you get my sentiment. And look, it was a broad rally too. So we really are seeing a little bit of switch out of the Mag 7 back into the broader market. And we had a market where I think, what do we have here? Dow was up 1, S&P was up 0.5, Nasdaq was up 0.73, Russell was up 1. But I mean, we're talking probably nearly a 2.2% recovery and one of the best rallies we've had in 2026. So a good way to start February. Nvidia was down as, Sam Altman has turned around and said he's looking for other chip vendors, and is that little spat about, as to whether there's been a deal done between Nvidia and OpenAI. I think, just being associated with OpenAI at the moment, it's not great. I mean, there's the two big ones that are Nvidia and Microsoft, and they're basically the only two, the two stocks that are down out of those Mag 7, to be honest. Apple was up on the fact that they're not exposed to AI. I'm not sure that's an investment thesis, but look, whatever gets the people going. As you can see, these defensives here, the healthcare sector, financials, memory chips started to head back higher. Industrials and manufacturing, like things like McDonald's, Walmart, Costco, starting to find a little bit of a bid. Everyone's a little bit concerned about Oracle's debt, but they've done a few little deals as well. I don't think there's going to be, Oracle's one of those ones that's at this point is far too big to fail. But everyone seems to want to be able to hate one particular AI stock, and OpenAI and Oracle seem to be the two at the moment. So we also had a trade deal done overnight between. Well, look, I don't know whether this is just President Trump announcing it, or they're in talks with Prime Minister Modi in India. They agreed on a new trade deal that reduced US tariffs on Indian goods and boost Indian purchases of American products. But here's the kicker, people. They announced that they would halt purchases of Russian oil, pledging to instead to agree to buy more from the US and possibly Venezuela. So as perhaps the chessboard looks a little bit clearer now, trying to maybe strangle Russia a little bit there and provide an alternative, and then perhaps what the urgency was around Venezuela. So look, as long as the money goes to the Venezuelan people, or at least a good chunk of it, I don't really have an issue with it from a political standpoint, to be honest. As long as they end up in a better situation, I don't think no one's got any problem with the Americans making a little bit of money, as long as the Venezuelans make the most amount of money. So. And then it's a little bit of a deterrent, because that will very much suffocate Russia in terms of their cash flow, and that's hence why the oil sector's down and oil prices were down overnight. So this part of the bar charts, just ignore it, because this part of the bar charts fixed it basically. So we should have a pretty strong day today on the ASX. I would imagine. We won't see any recovery, I wouldn't have thought, in the precious metals, but maybe just, I think, probably a little bit of stabilisation and grind higher. Silver, these moves are still pretty massive. Gold just drifted off, but silver recovered 1 to 2%, which, a down 31% settlement on Friday. I wouldn't call that a recovery, and I'd call that result in gold platinum and copper, again, fairly horrendous given the move on Friday, and obviously you can see there crude down 4.5 overnight, but still up 2 for the week. Coal took a little bit of a breather. Lithium, uranium took a bit of a breather. Just as I was sort of preparing to come on the broadcast, I noticed Trump announcing a new project called Project Vault, something to do with stockpiling. Haven't got across that as yet necessarily. I'll chuck anything in the comments. If there is anything massively important, Bitcoin stabilised, albeit still down 12% for the week. And Aussie dollar flat, but up for the week, and the US dollar up yet again. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't really get that, but we sort of nothing has genuinely changed in terms of what's going on. Although, look, I don't think Trump's as sort of scandalous as it is in the way he is making announcements, etc., and as fast and loose as he is in terms of negotiations. There's a few bits and pieces coming through. Kevin Walsh, he didn't need to hire someone who has got a history of being outspoken, etc., and who may well challenge him. The Venezuela thing was without casualty. I'm not saying, but certainly not saying I'm a fan. But there are certain elements of the policy which whilst have been very aggressively handled, that are probably not long term the worst things in the world. So, and I think a not ever expanding Fed balance sheet is a good thing as well. So. Better for the broader economy. We got RBA today. It was 70% chance of a cut, of a hike. I personally don't think they'll go. I think there's a few people softening as well. I think that it's a short month in Feb. They get another CPI number. We were very heavily influenced by by some, Christmas spending, etc. It may be interesting to see. 5 weeks isn't going to kill them, but if they make a decision today that lasts forever, so it'll just depend on how aggressive they want to be. Basically, there is an argument that they surprise the market and do it today in an effort to really make consumers just put the brakes on, because. The little Aussie battler, story, where everyone's like, "Oh, we're doing it tough," and and the cost of living crisis, is such an overblown whinging thing, realistically in Australia when we've got, house prices through the roof and 4% unemployment, but it's a very typical thing, Australian thing to not ever mention the good, but then go and spend a whole heap of money. So there is a chance the RBA maybe just puts one in now, which may have a bit more of a shock effect than waiting necessarily. So yeah, we've got AMD after the bell tomorrow, and Google. And Amazon will be after the bell Thursday, and then that'll be Friday morning. We had some ISM manufacturing numbers overnight as well, which were fairly strong. ECB, no one cares. US employment will be pretty massive at the end of the week after the Mag 7's out of the way. It'll probably give the market a bit of freedom to move. So that one will be definitely one to watch. Yeah, apart from that, I think, like I said, we thank God for the for the endless bullish sentiment from US investors who just clearly walked into the market this morning and went, "What the hell's it doing down here?" I dare say Aussie tech, if we do get a pause from the RBA. And then obviously that tech rally overnight, I think Aussie tech will have a pretty tidy bounce today, and so it should, to be brutally honest. But yeah, so now your free 1 month free trial or 30-day free trial has ended. But if you go to mosaic.mpcmarkets.com.au, or you can scan that QR code down there to subscribe, you'll get your first month free, but you can cancel anytime through that. You'll just have to put over your, subscribe and put over your details. You're going to get 4 recommendation services: buy and hold for US, global, and ASX stocks; Alpha Rex, which are short to medium term in ASX and global stocks, and an ETF portfolio. We had a 70 to 80% win rate across all of those portfolios in 2025 and outperformed the index by a good 15% plus. So you get all those recommendation services. It's available on the Apple App Store, Google Play, Android Store, obviously available on desktop. And then your content, your podcast, your education, investor education and news, all in one place, one tidy little thing. And we have, and we'll have portfolio tracking for off-platform clients coming up in the near future, and some other features. And this is all for for less than the cost of your daily coffee. Basically, it's less than $5 a day. So for our platinum service, and you get all of that. So sign up now before the price goes up. Have a great day, everyone, and we will speak again tomorrow morning.